Well, good morning. It's October the 27th, 2025, and straight from the highly caffeinated studio, this is According to Willie B, and I am your host for the next half hour, and I am as excited today as I was last week. Let me tell you why. One, this is part 4 of the 10-part series on the Great BFF trip. Today, we're going to be talking about the Bolt Castle area and the Thousand Islands and the just all kind of good stuff. But I got something exciting to tell you about. I know you say, Will, every week you say you have something exciting. That's because I do, and at least in my opinion, I do. I feel like that, every day I wake up, that if I'm blessed with another day, it's like, hey, there's got to be something exciting today. So I don't know about today. I had to work a 12-hour shift and then come home and get this podcast organized. So there's that. But you guys have been extremely patient with me on merch. But if you haven't seen it on our social media yet, yeah, that's right. It is on the website, www.accordingtowillieb.com. That's right, www.accordingtowillieb.com, and you will find merch, and it's right at the top of the page. You can't miss it. Now, right now, what I have on the website is logo t-shirts for Culinary Highway and According to Willie B podcast. There is more coming. There's more colors. There's more sizes. There's more styles. There's coffee mugs. There's hats. And yes, the coffee is still coming. Yes, Dr. Caffeine is still coming to the social media pages. As a matter of fact, I'm actually going to go as Dr. Caffeine on Halloween again this year. There's just something about putting on the Dr. Caffeine get up, and it's just so much fun. But there's that. So go check out the t-shirts on the website. Like I said, there's so much more coming. I appreciate everybody being patient with me. Some of the t-shirt designs that we had tested out for DTF transfers, the transfers seemed to be really heavy on a t-shirt, and I was not comfortable with it. I didn't like it. And so we're actually having some of the actual design t-shirts that have some of the different sayings and stuff from this podcast, like, that'll go over like a fart in a diving helmet. Some of those kind of things, those t-shirts, we're going to have those screen printed. That way it'll be a lot lighter and easier to wear. So there's that. So there is so much more coming. I promise it's coming. It just took forever for me to get the merch where I was happy with it. So, there's that, because I want you guys to be completely satisfied with it. There is no shipping charges on any merch, not today, not ever, unless the Postal Service goes crazy and it starts costing $1 million, and then we'll have to talk about something. Maybe you could cook a pound of bacon and I'll just drive whatever it is that you need, your t-shirt or whatever, I'll just drive it to you and I'll give you the merch, you give me the pound of bacon, and everybody wins, right? Okay, let's talk about part 4 about the Bolt Castle and heading into Montreal. And yeah, it was a really decent drive. It was another long day of driving because it was a solid 5-hour drive going from Montreal. Not Montreal, sorry. From Niagara Falls over to the Bolt Castle. Now, we had originally kind of penciled it in, if you will, to do the Bolt Castle. And if you've never seen that, go online or go Google it and look at it. It's called the Bolt Castle, BOLDT. Now, it's got some significance about this guy that built this castle. It's, it's massive, and it's got a lot of history to it, somewhat, depending on how you categorize history, but it's got a really cool story behind it. Let's put it that way. But the St. Lawrence River, I guess maybe I don't know my geography as well as I should. I know it better now ever since we taken this trip. But, I had heard growing up, I'd heard of the St. Lawrence River. I grew up around rivers. I grew up in Texas, so we had rivers. So I'm like, okay, so you got the St. Lawrence River. We got the Trinity River. We got the Mississippi River. We got the list goes on. So I didn't see the significance or what all the hype was. So as our day starts unfolding, we leave Niagara at 7 a.m. and we want to try to have as much time in the Boldt Castle area as possible, but we knew that we were going to have to leave that area at about 3 o'clock to get on into Montreal to get to our hotel and hopefully have time to maybe explore the area a little bit and maybe, have a really good dinner. That was the plan. Okay. So there's always a plan, right? Kind of sound like the Joker. The plan. We're talking about the plan. So we get up, we start driving. Of course, we're hungry. And, for the last few days, we've been pastry and coffee, and we were ready for a sit-down breakfast. I'm going to tell you. So we stopped at this little mom and pop cafe called Linda's Restaurant and family restaurant. And, it's weird when you come out of New York and you're paying, these exorbitant prices for a bottle of water and, and not to mention meals and stuff like that, $8 cup of coffee, etc. And then you go to have a breakfast at a little mom and pop locally owned diner, and four of you have a meal for what the price of one meal was in New York. And so that was a nice little surprise too. So, me, I had my pancakes and I had my bacon. So you know what? I was in good shape for the day. But we had a really great breakfast. We enjoyed supporting the local restaurant. There will be an episode on Culinary Highway covering Linda's Family Restaurant. When we got into the area where Boldt Castle was, the more we talked about it on our drive, because like I said, we had a few hours to discuss things. So we started discussing it. Well, actually, and I don't know if you've ever heard of this, but actually on the St. Lawrence River near the Boldt Castle is an area known as the Thousand Islands. Now, the interesting part about the Thousand Islands is, I know you're probably going to go on Google and you're like, there's no way there's 1,000 islands in that area. So let's talk about what they qualify as an island. This was interesting. This made me chuckle, right? If it sticks up out of the water, and I can't remember the distance, but just if it sticks up out of the water and it has a tree growing on it, it is considered an island. So I kid you not, and I'll post pictures on Instagram tomorrow. There was this rock sticking up out of the river with this little 3-foot tree sticking out of it. So they count that as an island. Now, I guess, if you think about it and you ever wanted to own your own island, if you're like me, that would probably be the island that I could afford. There would be enough room for like a lawn chair. So I'm thinking lawn chair, fishing pole, because, I'm going to have to put some Miracle-Gro on that little one tree to kind of get it up a little bigger to get some shade, but I think it's doable. So I've kind of got a future plan going there until I learned a little more about the river, and that's where it kind of made me a little uncomfortable. So we traveled till we got to an area called Alexandria Bay. Now we've driven for several hours, so we're again hungry. So we took this boat. We decided instead of doing the Boldt Castle, we would take this paddle wheel boat ride from Uncle Sam's Boat Tours and tour the Thousand Islands. and it was a beautiful day for it. It was a little nippy out on the water in some areas when the boat was like going into the wind, but it was still really a nice day. Just absolute beautiful, just crystal clear blue skies, just unreal weather that we had the entire time. And so we stopped at this restaurant in Alexandria Bay, and it's called the 1864 Restaurant. And yes, there'll be an episode on that one. But we had some fish tacos. We had, I think we had some burgers. They had some awesome onion rings. Oh, wow. Them onion rings were, it was a huge platter of them. So Danny was able to let me steal a couple of them. So I was glad of that. I was just hoping that me stealing onion rings didn't, maybe he kind of thought he had the right to steal bacon from me the next morning. I don't know. It didn't happen, but I kind of worried about it a little bit. But the onion rings were absolutely phenomenal. The fish tacos, they had this mango salsa on them. Oh, man, it's so good. I never thought that mango salsa could go with so many things, right? I mean, I'm not one of these putting pineapple, and if I upset some people right here, I'm sorry. But I'm not one of these putting pineapple on pizza kind of people. The only thing that goes on pizza that starts with a P is pepperoni or peppers. And there may be some more things, but that's the two that I can think of. So anyway, 1864 restaurant in Alexandria Bay, locally owned restaurant, and the food was really good. It was we really enjoyed it. We had a great afternoon and enjoyed that. We walked. There was some little shops in the area, so we had about 45 minutes or so to kill. So the girls, of course, they kind of took advantage and did some shopping in the little shops there. And then we walked on down the street. It was basically kind of almost like downhill where the road ended. And then, ta-da, there's Uncle Sam Boat Tours. And we get on our boat and we start going through the St. Lawrence River. And we have a tour guide on the boat that's, has a mic, and she's talking about the different points along the way. One of the things that I thought was, for me, I guess, it's not that I'm scared of water. Let's just say I have a very healthy respect for it. But yeah, so there's parts in this river where they have currents going both ways. Yeah, both ways. Imagine the undercurrent that there is with that. If that's not unnerving enough, as we got about halfway through our boat ride, she goes, oh, and this is what we call our whirlpool area. And there were actual whirlpools with, you could see a center-defined eye because it was a strong whirlpool. And I thought to myself, my goodness, if you fall in this water, you're either going to go up and down the river in the current, or you're going to go round and round in one of these whirlpools. I'm like, no, thank you. I'm going to stay on dry land. So that's kind of what made me rethink my plan about the small island. I think I need something just a little bit bigger so that I have some safety, let's call it some safety landscape, okay? A little buffered edge there, if you will, to protect from that crazy river. But it was insane, and it was insane the size ships. I mean, these massive container ships going down this river, and then all these houses and everything from just your normal little house up until these just huge mega mansions, right? And I think it's like the guy that started Macy's had a big mansion down there. So there was a lot of famous people down there that started mega corporations and the more after I got home and I'm talking to people, oh yeah, man, I still love the St. Lawrence River. I grew up on the St. Lawrence River. I remember summers on the St. Lawrence River, and I'm like, how'd you survive that? But hey, maybe they're tougher than me. I don't know. But we'll just leave it at that. So we took the boat tour, and it was very informative. We really enjoyed it. I think it might have lasted a little longer and I think partly because we were all starting to get really tired already. I mean, this trip was already starting to, because we haven't had a chance to really rest yet. So I think about probably 60% through the boat tour, I think we were all like, okay, take us back to shore. But they did take us over because they said, well, we're going to stop at the boat castle. We're like, okay, well, we're still going to get to see the boat castle. Well, they did take us there at the end of the tour. So then, we would have had another 2 hours, which we did not have because we had to get into Montreal. And so we kind of tried to stick to schedule on the days that we had a lot of traveling, because the last thing you want to do is, we could probably, spend a couple extra hours here and then, still make it. But then you run into some traffic or car trouble or whatever. And then, then you're messed up. So we decided to stick to the schedule and keep on moving. So when we got to Montreal, we stayed in a hotel, and I hope that I pronounced this correctly. I had a different pronunciation. The guy behind the counter, he had this really, really long handlebar mustache, and it was like pencil thin, and it just made continuous circles, almost look like a cinnamon roll. And I just thought it was really, and he had these little horn rim glasses. He just really fit the part of this hotel, and you'll understand when I tell you the name. The name of the hotel, and like I said, I'm going to try not to butcher it up too much. The name of the hotel was Hotel Chateau de L'Argoat. Now, that's the best pronunciation I got from him. I originally thought it was Hotel Chateau de. Excuse me. Here we are. We're still having these a little bit of voice issues. I think by next week it'll all be gone. But I appreciate y'all's patience with me on that. But the original pronunciation that I thought, trying to get Google to help me with that, I think Google sent me down the wrong path, because I had it as Hotel Chateau de L'Argoat. But he said, well, the name of the hotel means to live in the forest, basically. And I was like, okay, well, there's that. But he told me that the name of the hotel was Hotel Chateau de L'Argoat. It was a very old hotel, and it reminded me, extremely, of the hotels that were in France. A lot of wood, really dark grain wood, small elevator. It brought back huge memories of the hotels in France. But it was so cool, and so we really enjoyed that hotel. It was really neat staying there. And we had to take the car and take it around back down this alley and park the rental car down that alley up against the fence. And I'm like, well, this is different. But that's what I tell you. When you plan these travels, you have to be able to roll with the flow. You've got to be able to go, oh, okay, this is out of the norm. And trust me, we ran into a lot of out of the norm. And, but we began to, just kind of, this is a unique surprise. So we just kind of looked at it that way. It's like, we never challenged it. We never said, well, it can't get any worse than this. We never made that statement, because we knew with some of the surprises that we had already that it indeed could probably get worse if we challenged it. So, but it was a full day, because like I said, we had a lot of driving. We got to spend, about 4 hours, I guess, in Alexandria Bay and on the river and what have you. So we really enjoyed that. Then we just found a little mom and pop restaurant on the way to the hotel. And I did, for some reason, don't ask me why, I made sure that I detailed every single day so that I could come back and tell you guys about every detail of the trip. I have pictures of the food. I have pictures of the drinks. I have pictures of the table. I have pictures of us. I do not have a picture of the name of the restaurant. So if I can come across it before next week, or maybe talk to Danny and Kelly, maybe they remember, because I remember it was a really unique restaurant, and that was our first experience with a restaurant there in Montreal. But it was a very unique hotel. We enjoyed our stay, and then we had to, of course, get up the next morning because we had a full day. I say full day up until early evening in Montreal, and then of course we had to head on to Mount Washington, and Mount Washington and Portland will be the next week's episode. So you don't want to miss that, because let me tell you, Mount Washington and Portland was probably my number 2 favorites out of the entire trip. New York City being the first, and Portland and Mount Washington was my absolute second favorite. But we'll talk about those next week. Like I said, don't forget, if you just happen to tune in a little late and didn't catch the beginning, there is merch on the website, free shipping. Go to www.accordingtowillieb.com and you'll find the t-shirts. Like I said, there is so much more stuff coming. I'm kind of like the producer. I do the mopping of the floors. I'm the, what they used to call it, the chief cook and bottle washer. That's it. I'm the chief cook and bottle washer in this studio. So I promise to get it done. I definitely want to, as I mentioned last week, I'm going to, instead of putting pictures and video up on the website, because it's proving to be a little bit difficult. Not only that, it takes up a lot of room away from the merchandise or the merch that you guys have been asking for. So I'm going to continue to funnel all of the pictures and video that I talk about on the podcast. I'm going to funnel them into our Instagram account. Now, the Instagram account is actually double labeled. It is under the Culinary Highway name, but it's actually connected to the According to Willie B email. So go figure all that. I don't know. It's the way I set it up, and then I've tried to change it. I was trying to make it kind of fluid and smooth and flowy, but hey, I do good to not do word salad, so which we've not had one today. So there's that. There's always a silver lining behind every cloud, or I guess around every cloud, or is it behind every cloud? Send me an email. Let me know. Is it behind every cloud or around every cloud? But that's for another day. But I'm interested what you guys think about the island. If it has a tree, it's an island. I'd like to know your thoughts on that. Shoot me some kind of message on social media, on the website, through the email. Doesn't matter. I've got all kinds of ways for you guys to get a hold of me. But yeah, let me know what you think about that. If it has a tree, it's an island. I'd never heard of all the islands I've ever been to in my life. I've never heard that. Well, if it's got a tree, it's an island. That's interesting. But hey, that's their rule. I didn't make it up, so I can't really speak to that, can I? Until next week, please, I beg you, do not forget to caffeinate and conquer, because it is extremely important. But until that time, I appreciate each and every one of you listening. We're up to almost 2,000 listeners every episode. That blows my little 2 brain cells. And as you know, I don't use both of them at the same time, but it does. It blows my mind. I'm truly blessed. I appreciate every single one of you. We're in 18 countries now. I can't fathom how this all came about. But I enjoy each week coming in behind this mic and telling you about some crazy adventure that I've had, or something that, like a one tree island. I think that's what I'll call it, one tree island. But there's that. So anyway, I could keep going. I'm going off on a rabbit trail. You guys have a great week. I'll see you next week right here in this caffeinated studio. Have a great day. Bye-bye.